Hello, viewers of HTV. Welcome to this program Week Review. Remember, Week Review is a program that does a recap of the news that run throughout the week. In the second part of this program, we are going to receive a sport analyst who is our guest, Lawrence Kede, who with me is going to analyze the ongoing crisis at the Table Tennis Federation as well as the Cameroon's Cup of Nations that is ongoing. Next, we are going to receive William Tadum, who with me is going to talk on religion. And lastly, we are going to have our rubric No Comments. For now, don't go far. We'll be right back after this pause. Candidates of the GCE advanced level and ordinary level and the baccalaureate general began their examinations this Monday, 27th of May 2019. Successful candidates for the GCE ordinary level gain easy access to the high school. Meanwhile, those who succeed in the GCE advanced level exams are admitted into the university. Both O and A-level candidate began with the economics in one of the centers in Yaoundé. Students were seen rushing into the examination hall as early as 7 a.m. The 2019 examination comes within a socio-political context, especially in the two English-speaking regions where most of the candidates are being registered. We continue still in this your program week review, appointed by the head of state, President Paul Biya. Louis-Georges Jipenji, former board chair of the Cameco, is the new director general, while his assistant is Max Constant V. They were installed by the Minister of Public Transport, Jean-Ernest Gallet-Bibehe, now the new board chair of Cameco, during the extraordinary board session. While installing his new team, the new board chair of Cameco gave them specific instructions, among them the intense auditing of the corporation, reinforcing its aircraft and ensuring that its international flights take off latest December, beginning with Paris. Acknowledging Cameco is facing some difficulties, Louis-Georges Jipenji, who was board chair of the company from April 24, 2017 to this date, urged Cameco's personnel to help him and his team meet up with the challenges ahead of them. Celebrated every 25th of May, Cameroon, under the leadership of the Ministry of External Relations, joins the continental community this Monday to continue commemorating the African Day. This commemoration, which is part of the dynamic of promoting and propagating the values of Pan-Africanism through the bringing together of the people of Africa, comes with the adoption of the AU Agenda 2063, as well as the launching of the institutional reform process of the Continental Organization, commemorated under the theme "The Year of Refugees, Returnees and Internally Displaced Persons Towards Durable Solutions to Force Displacement in Africa." The AU theme for this year addresses a key concern for Africa, particularly those affected by the phenomenon of refugee and internally displaced persons. Despite its long experience in the management of these phenomena and the adoption of several legal instrument for the protection of people affected by them, the African continent today remains where the problem is faced with the greatest severity. For our country in particular, Cameroon is a home to more than 3,500 refugees and 24,500 internally displaced persons. The Minister of External Relations, Lejeune Bella Bella, chaired this ceremony. Let's have a view of his extract.
Phenomena is global, it's worldwide. As you listen to me in my speech, I did give the statistic of what is taking place in the whole world. And our country is one of the best classified or ranked, which take care very adequately of refugees, internal displaced persons, and also returnees. So the way out is that we should continue applying the decision which have been taken by the government internally first, and also making sure that we abide to what I can say, the regulation which has been adopted by the international community. So Cameroon is member, full member of this instrument, which has been put in place by the international community in order to really alleviate the suffering, the problem of internal and displaced persons, and also refugees. Many of them are already integrated in our country, and we have signed some tripartite agreement with Nigeria to make sure that some of their refugees who would like to go back freely without forcing them anyhow, they can return. We are doing the same thing with the Central African Republic. Very shortly, maybe by the end of the month of June, we'll be signing the tripartite agreement with the Central African Republic also. So Cameroon is doing the best, really is a very good student on that record, no matter what people can say, in order to try to make sure, to make as if our country is not dealing with all these.
That was the Minister of External Relations, Lejeune Bella Bella, speaking to the press activities of Destination Management Organization Conceptual Framework for Azerbaijan, Cameroon and Iran has been launched. Destinations needs a holistic approach in planning, development, marketing and management that will coordinate and lead various stakeholders as well as integrate their efforts effectively. The government has acknowledged the tourism sector as a priority for diversification of the national economy. Therefore, important measures have been taken for developing this sector so far. These activities are going to be supervised by an expert from the COMESEC Association. Cameroon will therefore benefit from this association to this study to benefit from the analysis of the situation that will be made on the promotion of tourism and to capitalize on the positive experiences during the launching ceremony presided by the Secretary General of this ministry. The expert took time to explain the importance of this project. Let's have a view of his extract.
The project is about management of the tourism destinations in these three countries, but it's especially those remote destinations, the remote regions in these three countries, as they are the ones who are in the most need of tourism development and contribution of tourism development to their socio-economic improvement. And we chose these three countries because they all have a very high potential for tourism. They have the most resources, both naturally but also culturally. But these resources need to be professionally converted into professional products, and they need to be managed as products. So this project is actually about that.
The rehabilitation project for the housing of the buildings of the National Archives of Yaoundé and Boya have been launched this Tuesday by the Minister of Art and Culture, Pierre Ismaël Bidoumpat. 40 years after the last rehabilitation was being done, the buildings already dilapidated have to be renewed and extended so as to receive more archives. Moreover, new means of conservation corners of these archives will be constructed, considering the present bad state of conservation. Accompanied by the expert in charge of the rehabilitation of this building, the minister visited the National Archives here in Yaoundé. The rehabilitation project is set to last for 16 months, according to the expert. The question of this, he was answering to the questions of our journalist Estelle Bebeng. Let's have a view.
The state of our archives today is not honor our country, so it is very important to think about what we need to have like archives in our country. The head of state and the head of government give an instruction to rehabilitate and to build a new building, could I say that, the new building to conserve and preserve our patrimonial material.
Ahead of the celebration of the World No Tobacco Day, scheduled for the 31st of May 2019, a press conference has been given by the C3T Association. This come together aims at outlining the activities that are going to mark this celebration. The focus of World No Tobacco Day 2019 is on tobacco and lung health. The campaigns carried out will increase awareness on the negative impact that tobacco has on people's lung health, from cancer to chronic respiratory disease. Moreover, the fundamental role lung play for the health and well-being of all people. Here in Yaoundé and in Cameroon at large, cigarette packages will, as from the 13th of June, have a new label indicated on it, a new measure taken by the government to limit the numbers of smokers here in Cameroon. The minister delegate in charge of planning at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tasson, led a delegation this Wednesday who carried out a double consultation. The main objective of the visit aims at elaborating the second phase project of the 2035 emergence of Cameroon. The president of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, Peter Mafani Musonge, gave a brief summary of their meeting. Let's have a view of his extracts.
The vision for the next 10 years, 2010 to 2030, 2020 to 2030, and they came to get the contribution, sound, and get the contribution of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism in the country. Well, that we're thinking about it, and we have done a few things already, so they found us already moving. As you know, we organized 2 colloquiums in the last 1 month. We organized a colloquium on living together and one on multiculturalism. And we've been doing some other work, going down to the ministries to see how bilingualism, one of the 2 official languages, English, is being used. And we've done strategic plans to that effect. So we've been working, and we're ready to contribute our quota in the
The next stop was at the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom. Here, the President, Dr. Chemuta Banda, equally made some propositions on behalf of this noble institution. We continue at the end of this workshop. The Minister Delegate in charge of planning at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tasson, sensitized both consultations. Let's have a view of his extracts.
Necessary to remind that we are in full gear in the work of redesigning the second phase of the long-term development vision of Cameroon. That's to say, we are sharpening the path towards the emergence of this country. Today we stepped out to pursue consultative talks with 2 very important commissions. First, we consulted the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, and secondly, we consulted the National Commission for Human Rights and Freedoms. At the end of the day, of course, we are happy that we came down to meet these two very important institutions. First of all, we only plan on the backdrop of an existing context. And context-wise, you definitely know that one of the most important social goods, which is peace, is actually in very short supply in Cameroon. And we think we cannot best design the future without taking into consideration that situation. We came out to meet these two commissions because we wanted to have their feel when it comes to the challenges of national integration, when it comes to the challenges of national unity, when it comes to the challenges of human rights, because we strongly believe once the rights of one individual are taken away, then the peace of the nation as a whole is threatened.
The Cameroon Society of Clinical Biology has launched a platform known as Clinical Biology Day in Cameroon. This initiative, which kicked off this Wednesday, ended this Thursday. During 2 days, exchanges related to health issues entertained this come together. The Cameroon Society of Clinical Biology is a company that brings together the medical biologists whose main mission is to promote and supervise the field of medical biology to ensure the quality and accessibility to all. The president of the organization committee, Dr. Manga Sipewe, was answering to the question of our journalists. Let's have a view.
Challenge for us to organize these first days of the clinical biology. Then we have many people who come to participate. So we are very happy, and we hope that it's not the first and the last. We hope that after this we can continue work to organize another.
Here we are in the second part of this program, as we earlier announced in our headlines. Today we are going to receive a sport analyst who is no other one than Lawrence Kede, who with me is going to analyze the different topics analyze the different topics in sport this week. But meantime, let's have these transitions. Good morning, Mr. Kede.
Good morning.
You're welcome to Ash TV.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to be here. You heard him so well. He is a sport analyst, and with me today we are going to talk about the ongoing crisis at the Table Tennis Federation, and equally we're going to talk about the ongoing Cameroon's Cup of Nations. To start, let's talk about the 16th finals of the Cameroon Cup of Nations. At which stage can we say we are presently?
Presently, we are at the 16 finals. We just have about 3 games to go, because there will be a game on the 5th of June between Union Sportif of Douala versus Adamowa Football Club, closing up the 16 finals.
Well, talking about those different results, actually we also know that some clubs are qualified for these 16 finals. So talking about this qualification, are they competent enough for this? Are they competent enough?
Well, we'll say this time around the Cup of Cameroon is being played at the same time with the playoffs of the first and second tier league. So it makes for some clubs to focus more on the playoff than on the Cup of Cameroon. That's why you see some of the teams, they send in a team B to play the Cup of Cameroon, because they don't have the same value, the two competitions. That's why you find teams like Foncha Street of Bamenda that beat Renaissance of Ngumu at the level of the 16 finals of the Cup of Cameroon, just because Renaissance of Ngumu went in with a second team B, because their main focus is the qualification for the first division of Cameroon. So the stakes are not equal. We have had some surprises in this competition. Bamutos of Buda that was beaten at the 32nd final. The same for Apaches of Fu, equally eliminated. And yesterday or 2 days ago, we had UMS of Loum being eliminated by FAP of Yaoundé. You know, UMS of Loum is the leader in terms of for the playoff competition, but they equally wanted this victory for the Cup of Cameroon in order to assure themselves that they will be in for the continental competitions.
So we can say for the last leaders heading club, actually there are many others club coming up, so they actually share that maybe their title can be taken away by the other clubs. Yeah,
for clubs like Aiding Sports, who have lost the championship, to go in continental and play the CAF Confederations Cup, Aiding absolutely needs to win this Cup of Cameroon and to retain their title, because they are the holders of the club. Aiding beat PWD during the penalty shootout. Aiding was almost out of the competition, because PWD scored was leading 2-1 at the 81st minute of play, and Aiding equalized on a penalty at the 91st minute. So they went to penalty shootout, and finally Aiding had the upper hand at the end of this competition. We equally had a funny scene too with the game between Young Sports Academy of Bamenda that was playing Coton Sport. That was the top match of the 16 finals. But Young Sport has internal problems with some players finding themselves even at the police station, and they went to this game with 11 players. No reserve bench, 11 players. Amongst those 11 players, they had 2 goalkeepers. So one of the goalkeepers had to be filled in as to play as a striker, an attacker.
What was actually their strength?
Unfortunately, they were just there, how will I say it, to fill in the black spaces just for formalities, because they were beaten by Coton Sport 4-1. When you come in with 11 players to play against an opponent fully prepared, it's very difficult to get over there. And Coton Sport has qualified for the 8 finals, and we are waiting for the combination, the draws of these 8 finals, and the games surely will be played again next week.
But for these young clubs, they're actually growing. What's the federation at least doing for them? Because you know, clubs like Edink and the others, they are well known already. But for the young clubs, they are coming up. At least I think we can give them a chance for them to win the Cameroon's Cup of Nations, for them to feel like at least they are growing. What is the federation doing for them?
Well, these clubs are considered as amateur clubs, and when you say amateur, it's no longer professional. It's not a money-making club. So as an amateur clubs, they come from the second, third division, and they have to play this cup with their personal means. They don't receive any financial assistance. That's why when you look at the fixtures, these clubs, their matches are not fixed far away from their home base, so that the transport costs to the venues will not be expensive.
But apart from that, what are the other things at least that can help them to grow? Because if they just want to reduce the cost of transport, I don't think it's enough for them to make these clubs to grow. Because, you know, I think the federation is supposed to encourage this young club, because tomorrow, normally the young shall grow big, and the bigger ones shall give the place for the young ones.
Well, we are into what we call football business, and we have an elite league made up of elite clubs who are supposed to be run as enterprises. So when you go to that level, and even at the Cup of Cameroon, when you get to the 8th finals, you necessarily need big clubs, not small names. It's good that small names come in for surprises and things like that, but we need the big names to go further, because Cameroon has lost 2 places on continental football. So we just have 2 places this for the upcoming CAF competition. 1 place for the champion of Cameroon in the CAF Champions League, and 1 place for the winner of the Cup of Cameroon in the CAF Confederations Cup. So the race is really tight, and personally I'll go in for an experienced club that does business, that knows where it's going to.
And talking about those experienced club, who can qualify for this Cameroon's Cup of Nations? You're seeing the way the different clubs are coming up, the way they are playing. From your personal point of view,
Coton Sport has an advantage, given that they have eliminated some of their rivals, immediate rivals for the Cup of Cameroon are already out.
What about the last champions?
The last champion, Edink, is a serious contender, because Edink really want to go continental. You have Coton Sport, you have Edink. I think these are one of those who really want to go in, because in case Coton Sport misses out in the playoff, they'll have to grab the Cup of Cameroon in order to go continental. So I see these 2 big clubs as the main serious contenders for this competition.
So Coton Sport and Edink.
Let's just put it that way. But Cup of Cameroon, there is no logic in it, because it's just a 90-minute game and anything can happen at any time.
Okay, well, let's now talk about the playoffs that we mentioned still in our headline. So at which stage equally can we put the playoffs? What's actually going on in that domain? Well,
at the level of the playoff, we are already at the 4th day of play, which is going to be played this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because it's just 5 games to go. You win your 5 games and you are champion. You win your 5 games, for those fighting to go up to the first division, you are gone. So we're already 3 days gone, 3 playing days gone, and it's remaining 2 playing days. So this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we are going to have the 4th playing day, and for the other weekend, we are going to close up with the playoffs. So far in the elite league, for those fighting, the contenders fighting to be champion of Cameroon, we haven't yet had a clear somebody moving up to say, okay,
that's at least showing off.
No, we have 2 people showing up, but we don't have a champion so far, because UMS of Lome is leading with 9 points on 9 possible points. They have not conceded any goals so far in the competitions, and Coton Sport is following up with 7 points, because they have conceded 1 goal, 1 draw, and 2 victory. So the title will surely going to be played between these 2 clubs, 9 points and 7 points. And what's very interesting is that at the end of the 5th day of play, these 2 teams are going to play themselves. So the final will be UMS versus Cotonsport, and the winner will surely carry up.
So let's talk about the strengths of Cotonsport.
Well, Cotonsport, it's a team that is gradually being rebuilt, but they have a problem of finishing. They move forward, they construct the game from behind to the midfield, but when it gets to finishing, they have difficulties in finishing their games, in scoring goals, and that's the main problem Cotonsport has, scoring of goals. But globally, they are good. Sometimes they are shaky in the defense, but their main issue in the organization with the game, ball conservation, ball control, ball organization, they are very good.
What about the other club?
UMS of Lom. UMS of Lom is very solid behind. That's their main. That's their strong point. Yeah. Solid defense. So far, they haven't conceded any goal in the playoff. They played in Seychelles. They are mostly composed of experienced players. They put in their physical fitness in front before tactical play comes into play. They are composed of experienced boys. They are not boys of 18, 19 years. 19, they are mostly composed of boys. We see here players like Abanda Kwa, Joel Etoge. Yeah. Those are players that have been in the league for more than 5, 6, 7 years. So they know the league, they know what's at stake, and they have the mental strength to move forward.
And the clubs that
one other issue is that UMS Lom, their next game is going to be against APG on Fou. But UMS Lom, the president of UMS Lom, Madame Kwemo, has written to the league that they don't want the referee that has been set for that game because they are suspecting that referee. Yeah, they are suspecting that referee to come for a special mission to drop UMS Lom down. That's Nwable, who is an international.
But is her appeal going to be considered?
Well, we are going to see how it comes out because they have laid out a certain number of points, and it's an option. It's right for each team to refuse a referee for a game.
Oh, well, you heard that very well. Now, talking about the other clubs that's in Division 2 that's struggling to go to League 1, what about them? What are the clubs involved? What can we say about this competition? Is it tough?
Well, for that one, it's really tough. It's really tight between Pangte of Bangante, who is at 7 points, Leopard of Douala, who is at 6 points, and Canon, who follows third at 4 points. So Leopard needs a victory to qualify for the first division. Pangte equally needs a victory to qualify for the first division. But what happened in the third day of play is that we're all surprised. Leopard of Douala at 6 points just needed one victory to move on to the first division. But they were beaten 5 goals to 1 by the bottom, the last of the table, that's FAP. FAP beat Leopard 5 goals to 1 at Military Stadium in Yaoundé. That victory really changed everything into the group, and Pangte won its game against Pangte, that was on 4 points, won its games against Renaissance, and Pangte now is topping that league with 7 points. So Pangte just need equally a victory to move forward.
Well, that was that for the playoffs. But right now, I would like us to come back on the problem, in fact, on the current crisis that is going on at the Federation of the Table Tennis. Surely you heard that some clubs had to even quit because they are not satisfied about the way it's being handled by those governing. So they decided to close the doors and just move out. What do you think about that?
It's really unfortunate that the things we see in football, we are already seeing them in other sports. We had that problem in handball equally, and now table tennis, some clubs are trying to quit away from the league because they are not happy with the way it's been managed. I don't know whether we are going to have a normalization committee at that level, but I think the government of Cameroon through the Ministry of Sports should come in and regulate what's happening in the various federations. Check the text.
Meaning the government is not regulating that sector?
Well, the government is much more concerned in football than in any other sports, maybe because it is much more lucrative financial wise. But I think the government should involve itself in the other sports because table tennis is something...
When you say the government should involve itself, what exactly should the government do?
The government should regulate the functioning of these federations because the Ministry of Sport, for example, it's the caretaker. The federation is just a mandate that has been given to a set of people that form an association to run that sport. So the government is the overall body, and if things are not going in right there, the government should step in and put other into that federation, because we need all our federations to function. We are already having the qualifiers for the All African Games that will take place in Morocco very later on in the year, and very soon Table Tennis too will be involved in playing those qualifiers. But if you already have a situation where clubs are breaking out from the league, that means there is a serious problem, and there hasn't yet been any statement from the president of the Table Tennis League.
What exactly is happening in that federation? We want to know.
Well, there is always a problem between the president and the club president, the president running the league and the club president. There are differences between them, and the club presidents who run the league, who animate through their clubs, they are not happy with the way things are being handled, the way the league is being organized. Bet you table tennis is something really simple. You just need the table, the tennis ball, and the clubs. It's just a few clubs are composed by a few numbers. It's not like football where the logistic is heavy behind, and when you have a president that is unable to organize the league that can satisfy the various clubs, it's really a pitiful situation. So I think they should sit down on the table, and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education should come in as a mediator.
Those clubs that are quitting, are they right quitting?
Well, if you invest money, you create a club, and about 6 clubs. It's a big number. If they quit, they can quit and go and create an association and start running and playing among. It's
not going to make things serious for Cameroon.
It's not going to really make things serious for Cameroon. As I said earlier, we have the All African Games coming up, and we have qualifiers for this, and we need everybody to come back together. So I really plead on the Ministry of Sports to step in and be a mediator, try to reconcile the others, or there should be a vote of non-confidence to the president of the federation, and they vote in a new president that can suit their taste and who can better run the league.
As for the president of this federation, what exactly is he saying as concerning this?
He hasn't said anything. He hasn't made any declaration, so we are still waiting to hear what he has to say. Maybe he will just ignore that, just like water thrown on the back of a duck. We'll see what happens next, but we are really pleading for a mediation and for these clubs to come back, because we need a table tennis championship. We need all that for Cameroon sports in general to move forward.
Well, you said it so well. United we stand, and divided we fall. So that is what I retain from your last word. I thank you for coming, Mr. Lawrence, and we remind our tele viewers that he is a sport analyst, and he was here with us today. Thanks for coming once more.
It's always a pleasure to be on HTV.
Well, just know the pleasure is being shared.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the viewers of HTV, as we earlier told you in the second part of our program, we are also going to receive William Tadum for the other rubric of this our program that is called the Chronic. So just after this transition, we are going to receive William Tadum. Ladies and gentlemen, you are back. If you're just joining us, you're watching your favorite program entitled Week Review. We've come to this other part of our program entitled The Chronic. Here with us, we have William Tadum. Good morning.
Good morning, Imelda.
How do you do?
I'm very fine this morning.
I can see that from your look that you're very okay this morning.
Okay. That is
so
true.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about religion, because I think that this morning I really think that religion in Cameroon is an opium for people. So we are going to talk about religion in Cameroon, people's opium.
Talking about religion is very important, so let's go on.
Okay, come on. Modern religion, Cameroon people opium. we notice that man used to say that religion is a belief issue. That it is true, that is true. Yeah. And no one can deny it. But the problem here is simply that African authentic civilizations in general and Cameroonian one in particular are and remain deeply synchronized with spiritual and supernatural realities. Modern religions came and immediately create a shadow on ancestral realities, ancestral practices. Modern religion from that time to now thus remain a mystery to people. The gospel message is not very well mastered. We are saying that modern religion is shadowing the ancestral practices, but the problem is that the modern religion is not very well mastered, and that it is a very, very deep problem. Religion's rule are not very well played. They are not effective in the society, and they are due to the fact that they are not rightly used. Above all, they are not rightly followed. The real problematic remaining is that some people, most of the believers, when I talk about some people, I'm talking about most of the believers, are not seeing things as they are supposed to be seen. People consider that, as it is said in Christian religion particularly, as soon as you will confess that I believe in Jesus Christ, for example, all your problems are going to be solved immediately by Christ.
So that's not the case?
I'm just saying that people believe it. Well, it is to be believed, but it is not so simple as we think, because you have to be at a state of spirituality to be able. Surely we are going to talk about grace. It is, but for what we are seeing is that people are not in the right path when they are just believing. I'm saying that they are just believing because sometimes they are just saying, but they are not really, they are not convinced even for themselves. So they are just repeating formulas.
So they believe it, what actually they don't have faith.
Yes.
If I should get you well.
Exactly. And opium. We're talking about opium. Religion as opium. Opium is a poison for human body because it reduces brainstorming facilities. The one who consumes it does not think as a normal person. He thinks very differently. He represents, without any doubt, a danger for himself and for the community, for the society. Regularly, opium consumers don't have any project, no ambition, no real dreams they can follow. They are human-nearing animals, I really believe it, because when you have no ideals you are pursuing, you are near an animal's a goat.
So what they do is that they just believe.
They just believe.
They don't have any ambition.
Only any conviction. And they just believe, and you have to believe, but you have to act. You have to do something.
So you should follow with action.
With action. But what the believers used to do most of the time is that they just believe and they just say, God will do it.
God will do the rest.
God will do the rest. Sometimes we used to understand, we have to listen to students of secondary schools during exams period saying, it is God who give English. They used to say it in French. C'est Dieu qui donne l'anglais.
But at least God gives us a retentive memory.
That is true. And what we are talking about is that people don't really use their brain to think, to plan.
Yeah.
They just say, God will do the rest. God will do it for me. By God's grace, I
shall succeed.
I shall succeed by God's grace. Things like that. Religion here in Cameroon is compared to opium because most believers are comfortable with the idea that just pray and all your problems will be solved. We are still one of the most corrupted countries in the world. People say that.
Or else we pray.
we are believers.
Yeah,
they are believers, but if we were real and true believers, we will not have been in such positions. I really believe it.
Okay.
We are the most corrupted country in the world. Most of our people still live under $1 per day. Most of those who led the country immediately after independence have taught this in seminars, and it is problematic. Nothing else can explain our pathetic situation now. People are able to remain awake during 3 night longs for prayer sessions, but they are not able to do the same thing concerning their jobs, concerning their studies, concerning everything we are called to do in the life. What sometimes they used to take long period to fast, to pray all night long, but they are not able to do the same thing what it is to study their lesson, to do exercises. Children are not studying.
Whereas it's supposed to be done equally.
It's supposed to be done equally, but we are not seeing. We are just seeing people are ready to do effort when it is for miracles. But
or when the exam is near, at least try and do those efforts.
I don't know, but we notice that the level of performance of our student is going low.
It's going low, and it's because they believe more.
Believers or not, it is a general fact, and I really believe that believers must. It is an occasion for believers to show that we belong to. We are the light of the world. We are coming to that because I've noticed it here. Apart from that, there is also a thought according to which everything on earth is just dirt, and due that citizen believers don't have to follow things happening on earth. They are just saying we are not from this world, thing like that. So we don't have to participate much to things happening. Participation in politics, no, it is not our thing. We are not from this world. We don't need to do that. It is for you. Who you are from earth, so you have to do it. But us, we are not from this world. Our kingdom is not from here. It is it is from the other side. It is in heaven, things like that, and they don't really pay attention to things happening.
What else can we say about religion as an opium?
As an opium, we can say that honestly, religion seems like hypnotizing. That is what we want people to listen and to receive and to listen of.
That's a lesson we should actually try to pass.
Yes,
pass out.
Hypnotizing because people just believe the miracle is going to happen without doing any more
so
effort.
Tell us, William, what can they do for those miracles to accompany them? Because they should actually act, but actions.
I really think you know the song. You know the song. Someone said in his song King Godefroy, La vraie magie c'est le travail. I really believe you have to start to do your own, and God will decide after what He's going to give you.
So what we should retain here in our chronic today is that we should not only pray, we should not only have faith, but actually work should follow behind, actions should follow behind, and at the end God is going to do the rest.
Yes, I want to say the solution here is not to banish the religion.
What's the solution?
Have to leave religion because the believer is not the most important. Believers is not, to be a believer is not the most important thing. The most important thing, according to me, it is to be a spiritual man.
Thank you, William. The most important thing for us is to be a spiritual man. Is the most important thing also. It's not just to have our faith. It's also to work, and actions should always follow behind for it to be done, for our country to grow from a higher height.
And I want to add that the way you walk shows your degree of faith.
Wow. The way you walk shows your degree of faith. It's on this statement that I would like to end this second part of our program entitled The Chronic. And actually, you know that still in a week review, we have that other part known as No Comment. We have No Comment. Just a while. It's on these stat images that we are going to end this program, Week Review. Remember, Week Review is a program that does a recap of the news that ran throughout the week. Equally, we do analyze main topics of the day. We thank William Tadum for being here with us today. We thank equally our sport analyst who took our time to come and explain certain the details that actually are currently going on. Thanks for being with us. See you next Saturday when it's going to be 11 a.m.